All right, good morning, everybody. And as Mel mentioned, in 2003, I took a new hobby, which is exploring 75% of the world that happens to be underwater. And there's a lot of interesting facts that I've learned. One of them is dealing with fish is much easier than dealing with tech. Aside from that, I had a lot of students back in the day. I traveled the world, and I still believe, I think, one thing that I still yet to see that something beats the Red Sea. I found that the Red Sea has the richest colors and corals and fish autonomy underwater. So if you haven't been to the Red Sea, I highly recommend it. Second comes Fiji, for sure. My name is Ned Cho, and I lead the solution engineering team in ITIL. And I was the first employee for HashiCorp in 2017 in this region. And I always want to share like what made me join HashiCorp at the first, because we were like nobody knew who HashiCorp was back in the day, and we were on a different mission. I started playing with the tech, and Terraform was, everybody knew Terraform at that time. Nobody knew HashiCorp was the one who founded Terraform, but I started playing with this tool called Vault back in the day, and it was a beta. And I was a sysadmin back in the day in the early 2000s. And one job that I hated the most in my job was every month I had to go through 250 login username and password in the infrastructure and change them manually. And this is what we call rotation, where we rotate our secrets or passwords on a monthly basis. And it just, I can't believe that we're in 2020-ish and we still follow, a lot of us still do the same thing. And it just, when I looked at Vault the first time, and I looked at the ability that I can store something there and it will automatically rotate it everywhere, I immediately connected to the pain that I had in the past. And obviously looking at cloud and how complex cloud environments could be, it makes sense that this is the next way, and I know exactly that this is an easy way for people to adopt it. I'm going to keep it short. I'm going to keep it educational. We're not here to talk about a lot of products, but for people who want to have a quick update on what we do, we're at 450 million downloads in the last 12 months. 8 out of 10 Fortune customers uses HashiCorp, and 180 Fortune 500 in the world. So if you look at, I want to say 80% to 90% of the major bank, they will be on HashiCorp products, if either they're on-prem, private cloud, hybrid cloud, or public cloud. And we still operate in the new platform and the cloud operating model of the infrastructure, networking, security, and finally applications. Before I go into the survey, just reminding everybody where do we see ourselves in the market? And we try to make sure that we're touching a bit on application, where the standard networking for all cloud, we're the standard security of all cloud, and we're standard infrastructure provisioning for all cloud as well. We'll be mainly working with the app dev team or platform team, depending on the naming convention, and most probably the industry. We see more platform teams in banks and financial institutions, and we see a combination as well in some other places. Eventually, I want to give you the freedom to have anything that you need from the infrastructure layer that suits your demand and your need and your financial capabilities whenever you want. And that's, the idea is giving you the ability to move things around and segregate that infrastructure layer from where you are. Giving you the freedom to move around as much as you can. The transition to multi-cloud is happening, and I don't think traditional data centers will stay forever. There's no way around this, but a lot of modern data centers and modern applications are moving into cloud at the end of the day. But that comes with a cost. That comes with the cost of how am I going to segregate my workloads? What apps goes here? Monolith apps are still better on data center, like older infrastructure is still better on data center. I'm using VMware. It's obviously sitting in my data center. So it's becoming, what do I move to cloud? Is it work-based? Is it app-based? Is it those apps are suited better for cloud, or that sort of workloads, or that sort of service or SLAs that I have to provide. But the challenge comes with multi-cloud on top is every cloud has their own set of suites and tools that they have to use. And if you look at it like, oh, do I use Azure AD or an IAM from AWS or an IAM from Google? There's CloudFormation to describe cloud in Amazon, and there's Resource Manager in Azure, for example, and Cloud Manager on Google. So this is the complexity that comes with it, and there's no way to go and hire talent. And one of the survey stuff that you'll see that we do have a massive shortage of talent. And imagine trying to find the talent to pick all of those things at the same time if you plan to go to multi-cloud. And this is where we come in. This is where we're proving value of not just being the standard, but just giving you the ability to have one skill that allows you to use 5 different clouds. One skill that allows you to network 4 or 5 different clouds. One skill that allows you to provision and maintain 4 or 5 different clouds without the need to know the mechanics and the specifics of what lives underneath. Because that underneath layer eventually is a commodity, and it will continue just like you always have better here, better flexibility here, and we want to give you that ability to have that control over what you do. Over the last 3 years, we engaged Forrester because we started being that catalyst that looks after multi-cloud and who are using multi-cloud and who is using cloud, and if this is working, if this is not. And I'm here to share with you some of the insights from a lot of people around the world who participated in this. 75% of the participants were practitioners, were people who are actually using the technology, and 25% are decision makers who actually decided on the technologies. And you can see by numbers, 56%, and this is during pandemic, this is right after pandemic when people thought that people are going to cut down on spend. And it turned out that the cut down on spend resulted in more cloud provisioning because people are trying to either move from expensive on-prem licensing, whether that's database, whether like virtualization. There's a lot of uncertainty in a lot of those companies that got bought here and an acquisition there. So there was 56% boost spending of it. Now, there's one term that you're going to be aware of. We always talk about high maturity and low maturity. High maturity means I've been in cloud, I've run in production in cloud for a while, and I'm comfortable running in cloud. And then the low maturity is people that we just started, we're getting there, we're not yet ready to go fully prod on cloud. And every time you read the percentages, just look at whether this is targeting high maturity or low maturity. So the 92% of high maturity organizations said multi-cloud is working. And in my fireside chat, I'll give you more insights with my guests around this as well. One of the challenges of multi-cloud in the past, that again, it was the talent. But from day one, we used to say, you want the analytics from Google because nobody can do it better. You want the Office 365 from Microsoft because no one can do it better. And you need the agility and the speed and the amount of services that are offered from Amazon and EC2. And eventually that what forms the basic needs of multi-cloud. About 53% of high maturity organizations are using multi-cloud to save money because I'll always get a competitive offer from here. I always have a better solution that I can use here that costs me more or less than the other cloud. And you create that natural, I want to call it the healthy competitiveness within the organization. And 74% of high maturity companies say multi-cloud helps them to attract and motivate and retain talent. If I'm a GCP guy and you're in multi-cloud and part of it is GCP, I'm in. One of the first questions that we ask people who interview for HashiCorp or people at our customers is, I'm an AWS person or I'm an Azure person. So the ability to have multi-cloud gives you more access to the people at the end of the day. The number one problem people talk about is the skill shortage. This is everywhere. This is in Australia, this is in Singapore, this is in Japan, this is in Korea. In every country that we operate in APJ, we do have this problem. And the number one risk is security. And people wonder, like, how can I make sure I'm going into this new world where I cannot just block everything through firewalls and I'm kind of going to the open? How do I manage security? And 90% of the organization are adopting or standardizing on scaling platform teams because they saw a lot of value in it. Let's talk about a big thing, and the biggest headline that you've probably seen recently, that Twitter went and they sacked 80% of the workforce, and mainly they're trying to move from cloud back into on-prem. And I started reading in why did that happen, and turned out that cloud waste is usually the biggest problem that people face. HashiCorp, we have this problem sometimes, and how do we manage people provisioning stuff for a long time? How do I manage cost optimization? How do I know if I'm dropping something here, it's not just going to live forever and I'm getting billed on it in the background? So if we look at cloud waste, 56% surveyed said there's increased cloud spending with the waste. But this is where the biggest waste components were. Number one, over-provisioned resource. I don't know how much this workload is. I want to be risk averse. I want to give it all the CPUs and memory that I can. So, and I remember we had multiple talks with multiple massive customers here in Singapore where we actually gave them an ROI because you can't manage this, but we can immediately see and forecast the need for how much CPUs and memories you need. And this is where containerization and platforms like that will help you scale up and down based on the workload. That would help in over-provisioned resources. Idle or underused resources, that's a big one. And we try to keep an eye on this, and we try to see how we can scan all of this. And obviously the lack of needed skills. This is the major one that you face. I'm not going to go through everything, just the top three, and just bring you insight as much as I can. Turns out that multi-cloud is real, and multi-cloud works. And if you look at, they all see multi-cloud driving current or future success, and it gives them, again, I'm just going to go through top three, a stronger security posture, because you're exposed 3 different clouds or 2 different clouds. You know exactly what works here and what works there, and just it allows your team to mature faster. And better visibility into cloud infrastructure and increased automated tooling. And this is a personal experience for me. I remember being at a big bank in Australia back in the day, 2018. That was after 1 year meeting with HashiCorp. And we told them, I'm from HashiCorp. And the first response was, we're an AWS-only shop and we will always be. But thank you for being here, because they thought I'm going to talk about Terraform. We were actually talking about security and Vault. 3 years down the track, we go to the same bank again. We got a call from them. They said, Ned, we need you here. We have a new initiative. And the new initiative was, we're going to Azure as a multi-cloud bank because the regulator asked the bank that you cannot be on one cloud. Now, it took us 3.5 years just to deconstruct all the tooling that they have, because they were a single-minded vision on single vision on AWS, which it worked for them, but it didn't work when we had multi-cloud environment. It was hard. It was hard to deconstruct everything, start moving from CloudFormation into Terraform, and work that out. So going into a business, and this is what we found with digital natives, whether it's Grab, whether it's Tokopedia, whether it's a lot of those customers, they start with that open-minded vision when I start that, you know what, I'm going to make sure that I'm multi-cloud ready from day one, regardless of I'm going to use multi-cloud or not. And that saves you a lot of money down the track. Obviously, the obvious one, which is skills and gaps, and most of the top 3 would be the standardized on a common operating model. And we talk about this a lot. If you're a decision maker or a manager, one of the jobs, and it's a difficult job that we have, is to create that standard. Otherwise, it becomes of a zoo of chaos of every tool under the sun running there with a talent here or there. They have one person know this and another person know this, and if you lose that one person, you'll never be able to take control again. So that is a problem. And I think our job as decision maker, and I have another talk about this for later, is how do we create that approach where we're standardized on day one, this is the tool of choice for provisioning, this is the tool of choice for security, this is the tool of choice for networking, and getting everybody standardized around that common model that works for everybody. The reskill and upskill staff is tough. It is hard. This is me talking to traditional sysadmins, traditional security experts, very experts in their domain, in a Cisco domain, on a Palo Alto domain, and we try to upskill this. Okay, how do we move this to cloud? And if you talk to Cisco and Palo Alto, they'll tell you the same thing. Like, it's not easy to shift people mindset from a traditional mindset into a cloud mindset. And this is our job, whether we're practitioners or managers, to work with this together. And finally, work more strategically and closely with your partners and consultants. There's like the gap is big. There's not enough skills in the market to cover this gap, and I think we all have to come together and figure out how to solve those issues. I think I'm getting close to the end of it here. So organizations rely on platform teams for cloud program success. Is that true? So it turned out that in a high maturity platform, when you actually move production applications into cloud, that becomes really an issue. Because when we didn't have somebody to depend on, we had a small app dev team and a platform team, and now we're bringing everybody together into a platform team. Like, we see those platform team at the end of the day, they're in control, and this is the platform team. Some call it the SRE team at some stage. In the past, they called them SREs, but these are the team who manage your mature cloud infrastructure. So we are scaling this practice throughout the organization. And this is high and low maturity customers, and we're standardizing on the use of a platform team, which is they found their purpose. And very interestingly, also throughout my journey in this multi-cloud world, when you go into a platform team and ask, what is the skills of a platform team? It's always been that somebody from that networking team who raised their hand up and upskilled, and he sees the vision and he sees how this security world can work on cloud, and he became that part of platform team. You'll find enthusiasts on CloudFormation or Terraform or such products that they become part of the cloud. So the platform team becomes that diverse skill set of people who knows every domain, that they're under one umbrella of platform team to lead the next level application and next generation platforms. Security is the biggest cloud driver. There's a lot of stuff on the news every day, whether it's a breach, whether it's a hack, whether it's, and Rajay and I, and you're gonna meet Rajay soon, we were just talking about it, like, why, if I'm a business owner, or if I have SLAs that I have to adhere to, why do I not de-risk my obligation and put it in cloud? Because the minute I move to cloud, there's 50% de-risking happening. Either it's infrastructure management, whether it's security management, whether it's access and breaches. Because immediately the partner of your cloud, whether it's AWS or GCP, or us with AWS or us with GCP or Azure, we became in that risk category with you. So obviously you got more people working to avoid such risk. So the biggest initiatives are data protection and encryption. Obviously, like, how do we make sure everything goes back and forth? Secrets are sitting there encrypted. Secret management is a great success strategy, and this is, if you look at what we do with Vault, the number one reason why people buy Vault is usually secret management, or use Vault in an open source thing. The ability to have everything under one umbrella, automatically rotated, covers certificates, covers secrets, covers everything under the security umbrella for your cloud. API driven, it makes all the sense. And access control and session management with, again, something like Boundary, for example, what we do, how to make sure when people access this infrastructure, they access it quickly. The highly mature organizations greatly value automation tool. So 91% said the improved security, it did improve security and governance. And I needed to get more. If you haven't heard of Sentinel in Terraform, it allows you to create rules before the cloud is provisioned, before your instances are provisioned. If somebody's trying to destroy an app, he has to be part of that group or this group or get that much of approvals automatically before this happens. If I'm trying to provision something over a certain size, it has to go through a different framework. So we create the rules of how people automate and provision cloud infrastructure and manage it. They all said it gives us more flexible IT infrastructure and it gives us a better utilization of cloud resources. So I think again it talks about itself and how we got there. If you want to learn more, and that was a very quick brief of it, I want you to go to the State of the Cloud under HashiCorp.com and download the 4-star report. And yeah, finally, just closing with we're your partner when it comes to infrastructure and security, and we can do whatever you need us to do, so we can help you and make that journey easier in standardization. And most of the people start with one thing and they add on a little bit, discover here, their value here. Most of the time, it's Terraform Vault to start with, and we just add on from there. With this, I want to thank you all for listening to those insights. Hopefully, they're helpful, and if they are, please download the report, and I'll leave it to you for here, and I'll hand over to Melanie. Thank you.